Blue Jays GM Ross Atkins has spoken, and some big moves are on the way for the Toronto Blue Jays in the offseason. So without further ado, let's break it all down. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Briones, alongside Nick Goss. What do you think of this daily content? I love it, Nick.
Loving it.
I love it. But Blue Jays GM Ross Atkins, he has spoken and he hinted at some big moves upcoming in the offseason for the Toronto Blue Jays, and most notably in that bullpen.
Yeah, we'll get a screenshot up here. Ross Atkins on the Blue Jays bullpen. Quote, "We are aware we need to be one of the best bullpens to be there at the end of the year." Now, on the surface, it doesn't really seem too crazy, but in the past, he kind of hasn't really spoken this way about the bullpen. I remember, I don't know if it was last year or a couple of years ago, he was saying, like, I don't know, he never really spoke this boldly about the bullpen. So this kind of leads me to believe maybe they're finally going to make a trade for one or do something of impact.
Well, the thing is that in years past, when he was the Blue Jays GM, they were never this close to contending. Last year, it really was the preview. This year was kind of the preview of the sequel, and now we're finally going to get the movie this year because they're close. They're right there. Their young core is good, it's talented, but their bullpen is nowhere near championship level. We said it about the Mariners. Everyone out of their bullpen 98 plus. Heat, the Toronto Blue Jays, they have one guy that throws 98 plus.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game in the playoffs.
Yeah, we I spoke about it in one of the videos I made there, and I know you've had strong opinions about it, so it's good we both talk about it. But yeah, Jordan Romano's really the only one, and Zach Pop throws like 97, 98, but he's like a ground ball. He's not really a strikeout pitcher. So I don't know. I found this very interesting, and it doesn't strike me as the type. If there wasn't going to be a trade, I don't know if he would have said this. If there wasn't going to be a big move made, I feel like he's usually calculated with what he says. So I don't know. It gives me a bit of hope. Who would you want to see them target if you have any off the top of your head? I know one guy, but I'm sure we'll have another full breakdown. But just one guy. Is there anyone pitching wise in the bullpen you'd aim for?
Well, I wanted him last year at the deadline, and it was David Bednar from the Pittsburgh
Interesting.
Pirates. That's the one guy that I wanted, and he's not a 100+ mile an hour guy, but he strikes out more than 11 guys per nine, and that's the type of arm that you need out of the bullpen. And are we sure that Jordan Romano is a closer on a championship level team? That's to be seen. That's TBD. We don't know that yet, but what you need in the playoffs is strikeout pitchers, and you need them in abundance. And you saw it with the Seattle Mariners. As soon as that starter goes out of the game, they get stronger. They become a better team because you have a guy like Andres Munoz coming out there throwing 103-mile-an-hour sinkers and 96-mile-an-hour sliders. It's unfair.
Yeah,
It's unfair and it's unhittable.
let's ignore yesterday's game when the bullpen
Yeah,
kind of blew it. But no, you're right. That was kind of on the manager more so anything. Robbie Ray in a close situation, but I'll digress.
he's not
But
a bullpen
no,
arm.
it's
He's not
weird.
a bullpen arm.
Um, I agree. That's a good player. Especially because the Pirates, they're still not really close to contending. So I'm gonna take a similar approach. Now this guy's on the Tigers, Gregory Soto, but he isn't a cost. I feel like he would cost a lot, but he's a lefty, throws 101, whatever he throws, and I mean, if we had him, he'd probably take over instead of Romano. Maybe I don't know, but either way, it's a fine problem to have. 8, 9, whatever. It makes no difference to me. That moves everyone down. Like even one big bullpen play or player will move everyone down one spot, which makes everyone more effective.
I mean, the thing with Gregory Soto is that, yeah, he's a great arm, a ton of potential. He walks a lot of guys. But another thing is that he has years of
Yeah.
control. So will the Tigers willingly part ways with a left-handed closer who throws 100 plus for anything less than three prospects? I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe if they have a similar season to like next year and they're just underperforming at the deadline, maybe. But again, it's it's more of a hope rather than a prediction. We'll have a full video on probably multiple videos on predictions for trades and bullpen. But yeah, that was it was a pretty important thing that I don't think a lot of people noticed about the Ross Atkins stuff yesterday. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the offseason because bullpen's the main thing and obviously starting pitching. But hopefully we upgrade a lot there.
And another avenue that the Blue Jays could take is
Hmm.
the internal avenue. And you have two guys in the minor leagues that do throw 98 plus in Julian Merriweather and Nate Pearson. Now, we didn't see Nate Pearson this year, but in the short time that he did have in Buffalo AAA, he was unbelievable.
Whew.
And I thought
Yeah.
he was going to get a chance to get called up there late in the season. Didn't happen, but that could be another route that the Jays take.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, personally, I'd rather them trade, or I'm sure you would as well, sign another big arm. But Pearson's intriguing. I don't know what he has left in store, or what he has in store. I guess not left. He's just been injury plagued. But I mean, he's a better option than some of the guys you have up there now. So yeah, I'm curious to see what they do. I'm hoping they don't only rely on internal moves though. I'm hoping they make some bigger splashes.
Mm. Well, I'll just put it this way. If Trevor Richards is back and if Trevor Richards is pitching in high leverage situations next season, I wouldn't I wouldn't rely too much on seeing a movie. Put
Horror
it that
movie.
way.
Yeah, horror movie.
Part two.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of pitchers, he also dropped a little tidbit on the on hitters as well. Asked about the possibility of a core shifting offseason trade. Ross Atkins said no, he doesn't think that's needed. Open mind, but will be not forcing the issue. So, kind of a different approach in the sense of their core players, their hitters. Besides Manoah, Manoah counts as a core player, obviously, but we're not trading Manoah. That's off the charts. But hitting wise, so I'm assuming that's who do you consider the core? I guess Vladdy, Bo, and some people are saying Lourdes just because of how much he means, but I don't know. Vladdy and Bo I think are the two, and obviously you're not trading Springer, so I guess that means that Vladdy and Bo are to stay put for now.
Well, that's what he's saying. He's keeping status quo as the GM of the Toronto Blue Jays, but I I'm going to go against the grain here and I'm going to say you
Bo,
do need to alter the core. You
oof,
do because we spoke about it off camera. We text each other all the time, Nick, and we were talking about the 2015-2016 Blue Jays
yeah,
and how they had Troy Tulowitzki up the middle. Now he was way past his prime. He wasn't a 300 hitter with 30 bombs and 100 RBIs anymore. That's not what he was when he got to Toronto. But he was still an elite defender and a Gold Glove caliber shortstop, and that's why they made back-to-back ALCS series.
yeah. I think an intriguing way to go would maybe be moving Bo to second if we get a Correa type. Obviously second's easier to play than short for the most part. So, but again, like I don't know how much what he's saying actually matters in the sense of a core shifting thing, like regarding that quote. Because if a trade comes up, I'm sure he wouldn't just not make the trade because he said that. So, it's interesting to see. I agree though. I don't think we trade Vladdy. I don't think there's any
No.
world where they don't extend Vladdy. Bo is a much more intriguing player, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some rumors, maybe even as early as this offseason regarding him. So I don't know. I think it just depends who we get in the offseason. If we get a Correa type, I think Bo has the move, and then from there snowballs. Or we get like you said, if we get rid of Bo, then get someone who's good at defense and offense. But Bo, I don't know. It scares me getting rid of Bo because there's always that chance where you get rid of him, he turns into a great defender like Marcus Semien did late in his career.
Of course, and that's always a gamble that you take. And the core is still young. There's still a chance that Bo does become an elite defender. He's a tireless worker, and it's something that I could definitely see happening. But right now, he's not he's not a good defensive shortstop. He's not even an average defensive shortstop. He's a bad one. And
Yeah,
despite the offensive season that he only had a 3.9 wins above replacement,
yeah.
which is super low for an elite level offensive player that he is.
Yeah, and two of those wars, I don't know what the proper word would be, came in September basically. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's an intriguing conversation and one that we'll definitely have for the next few months. And I guess let's get into the final topic here. A little bit on
Mhm.
pitching. I don't know how you're gonna feel about this. The Blue Jays hope for Yusei Kikuchi to pitch out of the rotation next year. Best case scenario, Hyunjin Ryu returns from Tommy John surgery late next year as well. Still, Jays expected to seek starting pitching. I mean, I'm fine with this. I'm sure we all knew this was coming. Give Kikuchi another shot. He did look good in the bullpen towards the end of the year. Good in mop-up time. But I'd say we give him a chance. Give him like what 5, 10 starts, and if he's awful again, then just cut the wire. But I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
You do need to give him another chance
Yep.
just because of the amount of money that you've invested in him. This was a Ross Atkins move, and he won't go down without a fight. So
No.
he's gonna give Kikuchi another chance here in the rotation, and for good reason. I
Yep.
mean, he's got electric stuff. It's just a matter of putting it all together, and he hasn't been able to do that in his entire career, just except for that first half of the season
Yeah.
in Seattle.
Um, I completely agree. I think there's a chance he does good this year. There really is. And I think at the very, very, very least, we're paying for a very expensive Trent Thornton type. 'Cause he did do good in that role last year. So I'm just saying, if stuff hits the fan, that's what happens. And then I have a bit of it's intriguing about Ryu. I kind of forgot about him, but this is I think it was last year the contract or second last year. So I'd say if he comes back and is able to give us some even just some innings towards the end of the year to help us with our like going into playoffs, that'd be fine for me. And I'll pop it up one more time here. It did say Jay's expected to seek starting pitchers. Obviously, um, I think we hopefully make a big starting pitching move and some big bullpen moves. But we'll have some predictions coming up in the near future.
You can't go into next season with this entire
No,
roster intact. There has to be a couple of changes, uh, whether that's a major move like getting a guy like Jacob DeGrom, which is probably not going to happen,
hopefully.
or if it's a minor move and picking up a couple of bullpen
Yep.
pieces, a couple of late inning relief options. That something needs to happen because I saw something on Twitter. It was a Sid Sixero rant
Yeah,
about this just isn't good enough. Toronto
I
is
saw
used to
that.
losing, and I don't think the Jays are okay with this. Their core took it really hard. Vladdy, Alec Manoah, Bo Bichette, they were not okay with what went down in that wild card weekend against Seattle. And I know that they're going to be back. They're still young, and in 2015 and 2016, look at the core players on that
Old.
roster. Old. Josh Donaldson, 29 years old. Edwin Encarnacion, 32 years old. Jose Bautista, 34. Troy Tulowitzki in his 30s. So baseball, it's a long game. It takes a while to make a run and to really establish yourself as a perennial contender. And they got time. I'm not worried about that. But
Yeah.
you got to make some moves and you got to show the young core that you do want to re-sign, that you're serious about making a championship run.
Yeah, I don't think that they stay pat. They can't. Do I think they make a huge core altering move in the sense of the offensive side? I don't think so. I think they look for a left-handed bat, and then I think they make most of their main moves are done on the pitching side with the left-handed bat. You know, Brandon Nimmo would be a splash, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get someone a bit less high key than that. But I don't know. Again, we'll have tons of videos on that, so we don't need to delve too far in. But you're right. I don't think they stay put, and I think this video's the main focus was the bullpen, and I have a bit of hope from Ross because he's usually pretty strict with his words. He usually says a whole lot of like nothing really. So that was an interesting tidbit, but yeah,
We don't know what it's going to be, but something's got to change. And thank you so much for making it this far. Nick, you're the best. All of you for watching, you're all the best. And keep the lookout
yep,
for videos in the coming days because they're going to be coming out in numbers. That's for sure.
always. Well, on the road to 1K subs. I'll pop the graphic up there, but yeah, lots of videos coming out, and let us know if you want any what kind of videos you want to see. So.
All right, that's all the time we got for today. Peace.